Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking what is basically an ancient masterclass in strategy, psychology, and survival. We're going to look at some specific excerpts from the legendary Panchatantra. If you're familiar with it, you know it's a collection of ancient Indian fables that is essentially a hardcore survival guide completely disguised as cute animal stories. We're going to take a deeply pragmatic look at conflict, specifically through the intertwined stories of a heron, a crab, a crow, and a snake. It is just a fascinating study of how intellect scales far, far beyond our physical limitations.
So let's kick things off with a question that's literally plagued strategists for centuries. How can the weak consistently defeat the strong? Think about it. If you're physically outmatched, if your opponent has more resources, more armor, or just way more raw power, what is your path to victory? Is it just a lost cause, or is there an entirely different battlefield you should be fighting on? Well, the text we're examining today offers a definitive, totally uncompromising answer to this exact dilemma.
Our source text drops this absolutely ruthless but brilliant thesis right from the get-go. It argues that cunning is the ultimate equalizer. The character Damanaka plainly states, "What cannot be achieved by force can be achieved through deceit." It's a pretty stark reminder that when the front door is deadbolted, you don't just keep throwing your shoulder into it, right? You find a window, or better yet, you convince the person inside to open the door for you.
All right, so let's break down the actual mechanics of these ancient scams. Part 1 focuses on the art of deceit, or as I like to call it, mind over muscle. Look at the baseline rule established here. Because of deceit, a tiny little hare was actually able to take down a massive lion, and that sets the stage for the whole universe we're operating in. Physical might? Yeah, that takes a backseat to mental agility. If you can control the perception of your enemy, you can control their actions, and ultimately, you control their fate. Cleverness literally makes the impossible possible.
Moving on to our first case study. Let's see exactly how deceit gets weaponized by a predator who's, well, a little past his prime.
Picture this. We've got this old, frail heron living by a big lake. The guy has gotten so old he literally doesn't have the strength to catch fish anymore. He is starving. Brute force is completely off the table for him. So, what's his move? He pivots to psychological warfare. He walks right up to the edge of the water, starts crying, shedding these massive pearl-like tears, and tells the fish he's renounced the world and is going on a fast unto death. I mean, talk about a performance. And this is the perfect anatomy of a long con. Step 1, fake vulnerability. By sobbing and playing the monk, he totally bypasses the fish's natural predator alarm. Step 2, invent a crisis. He casually mentions he heard from an astrologer that planetary positions mean a massive 12-year drought is coming. Boom, instant panic fueled by fake authority. And step 3, offer a fake sanctuary. He tells them about this magical, never-drying lotus lake nearby and offers to act as a ferry service on his back. He creates the problem, then positions himself as the one and only savior.
But here's the thing about a successful con. It completely hinges on blind trust, which brings us to the crab's counterstrike and how to shatter that illusion.
So the heron scam is working flawlessly. He gains their confidence, picks up these trusting water creatures one by one, flies them out to a rock, smashes them, and enjoys a massive feast. He's even making up fake messages to send back to their families. But then, a crab speaks up and asks for a turn. The heron thinks, you know what, I'm kind of sick of fish anyway. A crab sounds great. He totally underestimates the crab, assuming this guy is entirely in his power.
And here is where the entire dynamic flips. As they're flying toward the so-called sanctuary, the highly observant crab spots a massive mountain of fish skeletons, the heap of bones. Instantly, the crab gets it. The whole illusion of the savior vanishes in the face of hard empirical evidence. And the heron? He's so arrogant at this point, he actually smirks and admits to the whole plot, basically telling the crab, "Yup, you're about to be smashed."
But check out what the crab does next. No panic, no begging for his life. Instead, he acts decisively. Before the heron can even make a move, the crab snaps his claws right around the heron's delicate neck and literally strangles him to death. He even drags the neck back to the pond as proof for the others. It's such a brutal but vital lesson. Critical observation is your absolute best defense against deception. The second you spot the heap of bones in whatever deal you're being offered, you have to act with ruthless clarity.
Now let's pivot to a nested story from our text, introduced by a jackal. This one is all about how to handle an enemy you absolutely cannot touch. Let's look at the crow's heist. Talk about a mismatch. On one side, we have a crow, weak, vulnerable, and totally desperate. On the other side, a wicked, heavily armored, deadly cobra that's been eating the crow's babies. When a predator like that threatens your family, brute force isn't just a bad idea, it's certain death for the bird. It requires a much more sophisticated strategy, something that uses the environment against the enemy.
Enter the jackal, who lays out this brilliant masterclass in proxy warfare. He gives them a step-by-step playbook. First, take a few days to scout the city and find the house of a wealthy man or minister. Wait for someone to carelessly leave a gold chain laying around. Then, and this is the genius part, steal it, making sure the servants actually see you do it. Fly away nice and slow, keep their attention, and just drop that chain right into the snake's hollow. It is a literal masterpiece of manipulation, using a third party's greed and resources to solve your own unsolvable problem.
And they pull it off perfectly. The female crow spots women of the harem swimming, leaving their jewelry on the bank. She snatches a gold chain and flies off slow enough for the guards to grab their sticks and chase her. She drops the chain right near the snake's home and perches safely in a tree. The king's armed guards show up to recover the gold. The angry cobra flares its hood, and naturally, the guards beat the snake to a pulp. Problem solved. The crow just defeated a deadly cobra without ever laying a feather on it.
So let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here. What are these interconnected stories really teaching us about conflict?
A few massive takeaways emerge from this ancient battlefield of the mind. Number 1, physical weakness practically forces you to be strategically innovative. If you can't punch your way out, you have to think your way out. 2, fake authority and panic are incredibly potent tools for manipulation. 3, just like the crab taught us, keen observation completely breaks the spell of a con. And 4, proxies can fight the battles you simply can't win directly. Whether you're manipulating trust like the heron or manipulating a king's guard like the crow, the primary battlefield is always the mind.
The source material leaves us with this absolute certainty, beautifully summed up by Damanaka. Nothing in this world is impossible for a clever man. It's a huge claim, right? But the stories totally back it up. Intellect and strategic foresight and scale way beyond any physical limitation you happen to have.
So, I'm going to leave you with this to chew on today. Take a look at the obstacles in your own path right now. Where are you relying way too heavily on force, just banging your head against a brick wall, when a clever strategy, a shift in perspective, or maybe even enlisting a proxy is what's actually required? I hope this explainer has given you a sharp new lens to view your own challenges. Thanks for hanging out with me, and stay curious.